Good morning, Port Jervis, and welcome to the Port Connects podcast. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the podcast and proud member of Port Jervis Schools. And it's a big day. It is a big day for us. It's a great day to be a Raider. It is Hall of Fame Day. It's Homecoming Day. And we have 4 of our 7 inductees in the Hall of Fame tonight. And our first guest here this morning is Meagan Galligan, class of '99. Welcome back to Port Jervis High School.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you.
You too.
Meagan was on hand here for a student assembly. We just got done, and we're here in the high school auditorium. If you are watching the show live, please say hello. Let us know where you're coming from. Maybe you're an alum. Maybe you're a another Hall of Famer, like our friend Deb Casara is here today. So Meagan, let's start with, how does it feel? You're back here. Your son was in the audience. You were talking to high schoolers. How does it feel to be back as a Hall of Famer?
It's great. I think in many ways you feel like you never left once you walk back in. You remember everything. You remember the people. Most of all, you remember the feelings. And the feelings here were so great for me. And I see that happening now with my son as a member of the PJHS community. And that, I think, is the most important takeaway for me, is that the feeling is always positive and future forward looking. So I'm really excited about that.
Meagan is here. There was a raucous crowd when they announced, the things that she's accomplished in her life. NYU, Georgetown Law School, the first female and the youngest in New York State, the Supreme Court. Your background in law and what you've done there. How was that? That young lady asked that question about how does it feel to be the first woman? So I'll ask you the same question. How does it feel to be the first woman in New York State in those positions?
That's a great question. I was the first woman to be elected district attorney in Sullivan County. And to take with me the history of the people I studied under there to become the prosecutor that I hope to be and eventually did, I believe, become under those people was really inspiring. But to take it forward as a woman and to demonstrate that gender has no role in these important community positions. Women as leaders is relatively new in our country and around the world, but that doesn't mean that women can't do it as well as the men that came before. Certainly, that's nothing against the men that came before, and in fact, there's a male district attorney now, and he's doing a great job, but it didn't mean that a woman couldn't do it. And so to be the first was an extra responsibility, I felt, to do it to the best of anyone's ability, not just my ability, to prove how well it could be done and that gender really didn't play a role.
Yeah, great answer there. Meagan, I was high school principal a long time, and I loved that job. It was hard being like the enforcer of the rules, district attorney. I'm like, whoa, wow. But you have to enforce the rules. A lot of times they're hard situations. How did you get through that, being in that position and always with these decisions and hard, usually difficult, challenging situations? How was that for you?
It was difficult. When I first started, I had a great conversation with a more senior prosecutor, and I said to him, isn't there some kind of formula that we can use here, or some kind of spreadsheet we can make to help guide us in our decisions? And he said, young lady, if we had that, we wouldn't need you. And it was great advice, and I took it with me, and I still think about it every day, because the point is, if you're doing that job responsibly, you bring to it all of your various life experience, everything that's happened to you, good and bad. And you look at a case and you think about what's fair, and you think about what you would like to see. And sometimes that means going to trial and prosecuting someone and putting them in prison. And I did that a lot. And sometimes it means giving someone another chance and saying, let's put you in a diversion program. Let's do a drug court or a veterans court or a DWI court. Let's give you a chance to prove and earn a second chance. So learning to do that was really important to me. And of course, I enjoyed it. So that was a bonus. And getting to work with true victims of crime and bring their cases to conclusion and to some kind of closure for them was really fulfilling for me. And I really enjoyed it very much.
That was a big theme this morning about our Hall of Famers finding their passions, chasing their passions. And it was great to hear you tell a story from NYU to Georgetown, going into a type of law that wasn't fulfilling. You weren't happy. I think you said you felt empty, and you changed. You wanted to come back to your community. You wanted to come back to New York here and serve. Tell me about that transition of, hey, this isn't for me. I want to do something different.
It was tough, but I was raised in a family very deeply steeped in community service from generations before, including my grandfather. He spent his career leading the town of Forestburg, and my father on the county board of supervisors and the like. It always seemed to me that giving back was more important than taking. But then when you go away and you're in New York City and you get a job offer and they throw at you the kinds of money you could never believe, you think to yourself, well, maybe this is helping in some other way. And to a large degree it is. And I don't want to minimize that service, because the people very close to me do that, and they feel they are contributing to the economy and in other ways. However, for me, I just couldn't do it day in and day out. Making what I felt were the rich richer was not something that I saw myself doing, certainly for the rest of my life. And as I raised a child, it was very important to me to raise a child who was raised like I was, with community service as a priority in the family. So making the change, moving back up here and becoming an ADA was really the best decision I ever made.
Wow. Well, we're happy you're back, and we're happy you're here this weekend, the Hall of Fame. We got homecoming, the game tonight, the Raiders here at Chase Field. Meagan, let's talk a little bit about your time here at high school. You mentioned mock trial.
Yes.
Your teacher and mentor, Deb Cassara, is here.
She is.
What were some things that stood out in school that either good or bad kind of changed the path for you, or, man, this happened, and whew. Tell me some things about your time here at high school.
High school's a tough time. I think we don't give these kids enough credit for what they're going through. And what I've learned is, for me, the academics came easy and I could understand it. And to a large degree, that's because of the quality of teaching we had here. I felt like my teachers taught so far above the regents that if I didn't do a 100 or 99, I had failed them. And so that was kind of easier for me just as a person. What was more difficult was dealing with the very, very complicated process of being a teenager. It is not easy, and there are big feelings. There's tremendously high peaks and low valleys, and you feel like you're all alone in the world and nobody has ever felt the way that you feel. And those are really complicated things to navigate. So I'm really glad that there was a supportive community here, both of friends that I've carried with me and will carry through my life and my children's lives, but also through the mentorship available in this building. Yeah. That was really unique and beneficial.
Yeah. Amazing shout out to our teachers. Amazing people, dedicated their lives, and I agree with you. They teach at an extremely high level for our kids. Not that they can't get there, but these are the expectations.
That's right.
In this classroom. Again, even Ms. Cassara here helping guide some of your decisions on school and all of that. How about some of the activities, Meagan? Another thing we're really proud of is the opportunities for our kids. What were some of the activities, clubs, teams, things like that you were involved in?
Sure. So one of the most meaningful was the mock trial experience I had, which I found was fantastic. And some of those tools I got from local attorneys who would come and mentor us carried through as I became a prosecutor. Some of those catchphrases, if they resonate with you, they resonate with other people. And when you connect with that, it helps you connect with other people. And learning in our community about the different kinds of law was also helpful for me. I was also very involved in music, both in band and chorus and the plays, and that was great. And that was another part of that emotionally supportive community as well. I certainly enjoyed attending all of the sporting events. I wasn't a big athlete in high school. I think I had one disastrous foray into volleyball. But there were a wealth of options, even some of the clubs, just to make new friends that maybe aren't in the classes you're in every day, but now because of a club you know them, was really fantastic. Yeah.
Meagan, looking at some of these things, 2023 New York State Supreme Court Justice, the first, again, the woman and the youngest person in this position, the Sullivan County Child Advocacy Center, the Family Violence Response Team, Sullivan County Drug Force, Hope Not Handcuffs, all of these things, your time in Port Jervis, the Hall of Fame. when you look back and you say, man, holy cow, Georgetown Law, like, whoa, what are you most proud of?
Oh, that's an easy question. I'm most proud of my son. There's no question that the greatest joy and difficulty in life is raising a child, right? And I am blessed to have both a wonderful son who attends and is a member of the Port community and a stepson. And that's another layer of parenting that brings with it challenges and joys. But I think that the experiences I had in my career, I hope, are helping the kids as they grow up to become more compassionate and more community-minded than maybe they would otherwise be. But professionally, certainly rising to the level of Supreme Court justice is a new challenge. There's new areas of law. Supreme Court judges in our area don't very much deal with criminal cases. I'm a little bit different in that I do preside over diversion courts, including drug court and DWI court and veterans court and opiate diversion court. But so I do still get to use that skill set, but I get to develop my mind in other ways and preside over civil cases and matrimonial cases and family cases in a way that's new. So to keep challenging ourselves is really important, I think, to keep us connected to that job.
Yeah. Great answer. Your son Thomas was here this morning,
He
an
was.
11th grader here in his soccer jersey. He'll be at the pep rally. He'll be coming out with you. Meagan, you're going to get to give a speech at the banquet on Sunday. We get to hear from our Hall of Famers again. What's going to be your message?
I think my message is that each of us from Port Jervis and each of us as inductees is more than just one person. We're a member of this community. And as I think about what I'm going to say, I think I have to think about the people that brought me here. From my Uncle Vince, who was the catalyst for Galligan's moving from the Monticello School District to the Port Jervis School District, to the teachers I had here, Miss Casera, and to my own family and my siblings and how much they support us. But even people you would never expect from the community connecting with you and helping you. And, you know, the Bells, what a family in Port Jervis, to have been connected to a family very important to me, the Salinis. And you make all of these connections, and that's what a community is. And that's unique about Port Jervis, in that we care for each other, despite whatever our differences may be.
Yeah, beautiful. All those names are so familiar and incredible. But great answer. This was awesome.
Thank
you. So we got some swag for you. So you got your
boy.
first pin. So now we're sticker people. So here's another sticker.
Thank you.
But we're excited about these. This is another thing you're getting. It's a little lapel pin.
Fantastic.
I don't know if they'll let you wear it on the robe when you're on the,
Maybe for
in
photos.
court, but a little Hall of Fame pin. So we're going to give you that.
Thank you.
And
I
we're
love
excited. We have lunch coming up, but you'll be here at the pep rally
Absolutely.
and the game tonight
Yes.
and the banquet Sunday.
Yes.
Wow. Meagan Galligan, everyone, class of '99. We're extremely proud of her induction to the Hall of Fame. So join me in congratulating her. If you're watching live, jump in with a comment there and say hello. Meagan, we're going to turn over to Ralph. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
So you have some free time. You're welcome to go around. I don't know if Ms. Casera is tutoring calculus now or
Probably.
111 right down the hall. No, 114. 114 right down the hall. So you're welcome to have some time, and I'll see you at work.
Okay,
Awesome.
It's your turn, Ralph.
Ralph, come on up here. This was Meagan Galligan, friends. And again, please leave her a comment. Thanks so much, Meagan.
Thank you.
All right, this is Ralph Morgan. Welcome, Ralph.
Thank you.
Class of 1968.
Yes.
Got your shirt on. Look at that. I hope I didn't make you feel bad about the purple shirt this morning.
No, it was more 68. You're making me feel old.
Well, he did an amazing job. Welcome, Ralph. Good morning. This is Ralph Morgan, class of 68, Hall of Famer here. Ralph, what a story you shared today. What great message you gave. You've had a life in psychology, Vietnam veteran hero, Green Beret here. And really went to education, went to helping people, criminal justice. Talk to me about how, forgive me, Ralph, 3-sport athlete here, a very proud athlete as well. How does it feel to be back?
It always feels great to be back in Port Jervis. It's, people talk about home, and there are all philosophers say home is where your heart is or where your body is, or it's inside of you. But I'll tell you what, Port Jervis is home. It's a place where I associate with good experiences, lots of friends, interesting events growing up, good and bad. We won't talk about that, but yeah, this is a great place. And I've been around the world. I've been to an awful lot of places. I've seen a lot of communities. There isn't any place I'd rather grow up.
Yeah. You were class president here, Ralph,
I was.
also.
Yeah.
To see the plaques on the wall and now to know that you're here, what does that mean to you that your plaque's going to be on the wall now?
It means the world to me. The people talk about mortality and immortality, and an event like this, I see it as pushing your mortality a little bit closer to immortality. It's like the world saying to you, you've done something, you've stood for something, and you've accomplished something. So it's a beautiful, a wonderful honor to be here.
Ralph, who were some people and what were some things during your time in high school that really guided you, that really said, oh yeah, I want to go on this path?
Oh, do you mean psychology or?
Anyone, your time
okay.
here in school, when you were a student here, something that happened either on the athletic field or in the classroom that helped guide you towards where you went?
There were so many, the experience of being a part of a successful football program and having the opportunity to be selected as a co-leader of your varsity football team in your senior year is looking back. I mean, it was just huge. Some things not so good happened to me that year. As far as the game goes, I still managed to get on that all league team, I think second team, but an injury really took me out for a big part of the season. And I think all of the experiences that I had struggling through that injury and trying to get back on the field all kind of contributed to who I am and who I became, and drove me in the directions of the decisions that I made through the military. And then the military drove me in the direction of the next decisions I made, studying psychology and trying to help people. And like Meagan, I've lived a life of service to the community.
Yeah. One of your services, again, senior class president, you told a funny story here that you started, your year implemented senior skip day, which is still around. But you got a big slap on the wrist. You got a big penalty here, district attorney, the judge. They didn't allow you to speak at graduation. That was some penalty. Tell me about that and how you feel about that today.
35 years in criminal justice, I feel as though the balance of justice finds itself eventually.
Well said.
But I understood what happened. I thought it was a little harsh. I really would have liked to have addressed my senior class, but the principal followed his values. He felt as though I had gone against the rules and that there had to be some consequences that were meaningful. I accepted the consequences, although it was very disappointing, and I think that's the point. And I think that changed my life. It forced me to look at the responsibility of leadership. It's not just about being in that position and being that person. It's about handling your duties responsibly and contributing to a pro-social set of circumstances.
Yeah, I love how you said that in front of the kids and really hearing everyone's story of how it's impacted our lives on our own journeys. Ralph, you served Vietnam, a horrific time in our history, so much death. You shared about that, about taking the life of another person and how that impacted you, which led you to your field in psychology. You and Doug Lovelace are going to share a story at the Hall of Fame here, again, that brought the fate of Port Jervis together.
Yeah.
I know that time in Vietnam, again, was hard for you. Share a little bit about how and why that brought you to the field of psychology, looking to help others.
It's a difficult story, so forgive me if I get emotional, but I was in Vietnam, and as you know, I was a Green Beret, and I was on a recon team. I was running sensitive missions into Laos and Cambodia and I-Corps up around Khe Sanh, Ashaw Valley. I was in a lot of the hallmark places, and I was considered to be very good in the field. And that included eliminating targets from time to time. And my brother, who was also in Vietnam when I first went over there, he came home, and about 2 weeks after he was home, he was killed in an automobile accident.
Survived Vietnam and was killed in an automobile accident here.
Yes, and I came home for the funeral and all but had a nervous breakdown. And I think what the remarkable thing was, the people that I was hunting were targets. It was like deer hunting.
Yeah.
But when my brother died, all of a sudden, this rush of emotion that humanized all of these people and reminded me that they had mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters just crushed me. So
Wow.
I had serious PTSD when I came home, and there were no VA services at the time. So I studied psychology to try to put myself back together like Humpty Dumpty, you know?
Wow.
And fortunately, I had a couple of professors who recognized that I was struggling and helped me, and I got through that. And then there was an incident on campus where a student was brutally beaten and raped, and I was a person that was there trying to help her in that moment. And my God, but that kind of was the thing that said to me, there's a need for people out there who want to help. So I became one of those people. I started in domestic relations as an investigator, and then moved up to probation, and then parole, human resources, and then became a prison administrator.
Wow. 35 years in that, earned your master's and your doctorate in psychology. Dr. Morgan.
Thank you.
Wow. And these stories, obviously the emotional toll on you. And you coach people now. You coach them mentally and through in sports and in different ways. I know you talked about coaching athletes too. You shared some mindset things with the kids here. Talk to me about coaching people and proactively now in the field of psychology.
Oh, it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
From parole, probation,
Yeah.
and prison. It's here you have people that are trying to be all that they can be.
Mm-hmm.
They come into you and they say, I want to be all pro, and they look at you and it's like, make me an all pro, and it's like, that doesn't work like that.
It's gotta be you.
You got to make you an all pro. What's the difference between you and an all pro? And if we can identify the difference between you and your habits and what you do and how you see yourself.
Wow.
And compare it to what we know about people who are all pro, we can make that happen together. And it's like the aura, the vibration is just completely different. It's a positive, let's go kind of a thing. And these are people like my dad used to say, I'd rather have a person that I have to pull down to get through the doorway and hold back than a person I have to drag into a fight. And that's the difference. You got to drag a prisoner or a parolee into the arena to get them to look at themselves and think about what's the difference between me and somebody that's making it in this world. Whereas an athlete on almost every level, it's like you got to hold them back and say, wait, we need to put this piece in first. Then you can go. It's just so much more fun.
I love it. Great story there. Great analogy about your dad. Ralph, you're going to be here this weekend. We're glad you were able to be here today. What's going to be your message at the banquet to the folks there, other Hall of Famers, our Port Jervis community?
Well, this really isn't about me. And I'll tell you what happened. When I heard about the Hall of Fame, I nominated Doug Lovelace to be in the Hall of Fame because he saved my life in Vietnam. Now, if you think about that, we both graduated from Port Jervis High School.
Incredible.
Halfway around the world in a war, in two different roles in the war, me on the ground and him in an attack helicopter. And he ends up arriving at a critical point in a battle where I'm almost out of ammunition, eliminates the danger in front of me until fast movers can come in with napalm and really clean it up. And I lived because of that.
Wow.
So, it's incredible to me. I mean, how does that happen? What kind of synchronicity is that, But it taught me that home travels all over the place.
Wow.
You just never know.
And he's talking about Colonel Doug Lovelace, class of 1966. We're going to hear this combined story. They're each going to introduce each other as inductees. And wow, it makes you feel like, holy cow, the pride for our school, the pride for our country. And we're really proud that both of you can be here. And what a great story there, Ralph.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. This is Dr. Ralph Morgan. Ralph, again, you threw the shirt right on the button. Here's your lapel pin, Hall of Fame, so you can add that to your collection. And
Thank you.
we got some more swag coming your way. There's a sticker for you.
I like it.
Yeah, so we're going to have some lunch here. You got free time, Ralph. Ralph did get a detention here during the assembly for some of the things today, so we'll have you stay today. But he's going to be at our pep rally tonight at the ball game, and wait till you see the fields. You'll be proud
I'm excited.
of the turf. You feel like you're on a trampoline.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Awesome. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
You
Ralph. All right. Calvin, let's go, my friend. We're in TV here, Calvin. You know that you can't be late here on television, That was Ralph Morgan, friends. If you are watching live, jump and say hello. Yeah. Thomas DeMond says hello. Class of 68 said hello here. Yeah, welcome. Welcome. Is this a DeMond connected to you, Calvin? Thomas?
That's my bro.
Oh, okay, Thomas. Thanks for tuning in. Well, here's your brother, Calvin, here. Welcome, Calvin.
Thanks.
Good morning. Welcome back to Port Jervis.
Great to be here.
I forgive you for wearing blue. It's okay. We did beat Middletown this year, but he said blue's his color, so he is looking
I'll be
good.
wearing red and black this evening.
That's right. That's right.
I will be.
Calvin DeMond, everyone, class of 1973. All things television, TV production, ABC News. The kids really were dialed in. You had some great messages today. How do you feel being back?
It's great. I spent a lot of time in this room here. I played in the band, and we did shows on the stage, and it's good sometimes to come back to your old stomping grounds.
Yeah. And you talked about some people here that really saw you were good with the camera. They saw you were good with the production stuff and said, hey, Calvin, you should think about doing that. Talk to me about that mentorship and how that started you on your journey.
Well, we had an English teacher here, Ray Prue, and he was an exceptional teacher. And he had a way of connecting with us. Maybe it was because he was a few years older than us when he came here, but he was into that. And, he kind of, well, here's the tools, see what you can do with it. We had people come and show us how, which buttons to push and things like that. But he let us do that. He inspired us and he taught us things. And the light bulbs went off. And a couple of us went into the business. My son's godfather, Tony Lorenzo, from the Acre, he spent decades in television business.
Yeah.
And Tom Mischuk, one of my all guys who were class of 73, went in television. And Tom Mischuk, who's since passed away, but he was a television reporter. So there was a great inspiration there. And I had another English teacher, John Romeo, who also encouraged me. He was also one of our football coaches.
Yeah.
And which was good. That's their job, to push us and get us to do things and seek opportunity. And that's what I did.
You had a good experience football here. I know you said maybe that the record of the team wasn't so great, but you had a great experience learning a lot, and you shared that. You could feel that you're a proud Raider. Tell me about your experience playing football here and how that translated to your career in TV.
Well, I had never played Pop Warner. I mean, I played, with the kids in the neighborhood. Freshman year, I didn't play. I walked on as a sophomore.
Wow.
And, my brother Marty had played, my brother Tom had played
There he is.
JV.
He's watching.
And I always liked the game. And I said, well, I could do that. And I tried, and a lot of things in life that I've done, it's something that I didn't do before, but I said, no, I'm going to try that. If I don't succeed, well, I tried it, move on to something else. But, when you go out there and you do the double sessions, and we had triple sessions every day, and in the heat of August, and as you're sweating and everything, it's easy to just say, oh, this is hard, and you quit. But I was determined that, I'm gonna stick this out, and I had Ron Semerano was a good teammate. I knew him from, when I was 8 years old. And there were other people, and we kind of encouraged each other. We pushed ourselves, and I've been pushing myself my whole life.
Yeah.
And I learned it right here on the football field.
Beautiful, beautiful. If you're watching live, say hello. Let us know where you're coming from. Calvin, we're live right now. I like doing this podcast. I got my little lights, my setup.
I like
I'm hoping
this.
it all works.
Yeah.
But you led a life of live television, news, and different productions. People put on the television and they think it just kind of happens. But there's so many things that go into it. What was that like working in a field where you always were on? Any mistakes, any warts, anything that happens, everyone can see it. Your live television. How was that, and that pressure that you worked under for so many years?
Well, at first it's daunting, but then you learn to just have ice water in your veins, and you don't really think about the magnitude of what it is you're doing. Sometimes until after the fact, and you're like, well, I just did that, But the other thing that it teaches you is you have a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, And the nice thing about most productions, there's multiple cameras. So if something happens with camera B, well, you got camera A, you learn to plan and cover yourself. Doing news, it's not really like that. It's a one camera thing mostly. So you have to be prepared. Most of the live shots we do are on the street, and some New Yorkers are.
Hey, how you doing?
Exactly. So you have to be used to that, and sometimes we get people that are menacing, and so I had to learn how to be a tough guy, and shoo them away, because they if I had a female reporter, they'd like to mess with her, So I had to learn how to do those things. But it's just you're prepared, and you learn from each one. Each day is different, so you have to, you take something from each day and you put it into your little trick bag, so you can make it better the next time.
Long career with ABC, Eyewitness News, Channel 7. Calvin, the news, newspapers, that's changing. The world has changed the way we consume news. What are you seeing from someone who lived a life of television the way it was, right? We put the TV on and the news was that was it.
Right.
It's changing. How is that changing, and what is your perspective there?
Well, now it's more instant. The equipment's gotten smaller. With cellular modems, we have carry around these boxes that have like 6 cell phones in them. You can hook that up to your camera, and as soon as you turn it on, you can be transmitting to the world.
Wow.
You can use your cell phone, things like that.
A lot of power in this little device here. Yeah.
There is. So that's changed, and the price has come down. So, for example, every Sunday, I have a live stream from the church that I go to in Tuxedo. We have 3 cameras, a switcher, the whole 9 yards. 20 years ago, that would have been a very expensive thing for a church to take on.
Mm-hmm.
Only in big cities like St. Patrick's Cathedral were they able to do something like that. So the technology's made things faster, but fast isn't always good. One particular day that comes to mind, they called us. We were on one other story. They said, "Oh, there's a woman in the East River, and they're trying to save her." So we rush over there, and I didn't have my little transmitter with me. I just grabbed the camera and started filming, and they were screaming at me because they wanted to take this rescue live. The firemen were there, they had their boat, but when they pulled the woman out of the water, she didn't have any clothes on. She was naked, you know. And had I been transmitting, that would have been unfiltered, out in the air. There's no delay, and they wouldn't have liked that.
Yeah, you couldn't fuzz it out, couldn't block anything out.
Not when it's happening like that. Not when it's, because it's in the instant, it's in the moment. So, you know, I got called on the carpet because I didn't have it live. And then when they looked at the video, they just didn't say anything because they realized that my mistake was a good mistake.
Good advice there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is certainly something about being live, even like you said, the putting this on and being able to connect with our community. I enjoy it live. Hopefully no one, we're taking our clothes off here. Calvin, a long career. Again, an incredible career. You started at SUNY Orange, Emmy Awards, Wall Street Journal, the Channel 9. Used to broadcast the Mets there. I remember that back in the day. What are you most proud of when you look back?
The fact that I've been able to work with some great people like Bill Butel, Roger Grimsby. I've worked with some really interesting, really good, hardworking journalists. But I've worked through all the technologies, and I've been able to master every one of them. When I started, news gathering was shot on 16 millimeter film that had to be developed, and they had couriers running around the city, getting film back to the stations. And then we went to videotape. Well, we don't use tape anymore. Now it's SD cards. Editing, you know, there used to be guys with what they called moviolas, you know, moving film around, cutting, you know, with a razor blade, things like that.
Wow. That's
all gone. And we had videotape. You could electronically edit videotape. Well, now it's all done on a computer, which makes it faster. It's easier. It's easier to save things. So I like the fact that I've been able to master all those different levels, and I'm still learning. Like I told you earlier, I got my master's degree at age 66. I'm 68 now. And, you know, and people say, you're too old for that. But you know what? I like learning. I like challenges. And that's probably the best part of this job is that even though I'm retired now, I still have things I'm doing. I'm still keeping active and still plugging away.
You had said that here, that education is key. You said that to the kids here, and I really enjoyed hearing that. Welcome back. Welcome home. We're proud to have you as part of this class here. Calvin, you're going to speak Sunday.
Yes, I am.
What's going to be your message to our community here?
Well, you know, there's a long legacy of people with the surname Mond that went through the school system, and I'm proud of that. You know, my grandmother, when she was going to Port Jervis High School, which was over on East Main Street there, in those days, you couldn't get potato chips at the store. Potato chips had to be made, and they were a new phenomenon. So she earned her money to go to Syracuse University by getting up in the morning, making potato chips, and selling them to the kids on the way to school.
Wow. Wow.
Isn't that something?
And here you are, going to have your plaque on the wall here.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I think of that all the time. Every time I go by that school, I think of her with her little bicycle and the basket full of paper bag potato chips. The
cafeteria staff must not have been happy about that. Wow, this is Calvin Mond. What a beautiful story. Calvin, you got your beautiful jacket on today. We're going to add a little red to that. Here's your Hall of Fame pin.
Well, thank you.
And we got a little swag here. One last question, Calvin. The jingle. Does that ABC jingle ring in your head?
Oh, yeah. Well, the original one, most people don't know this. The original was pulled from the movie Cool Hand Luke.
Really?
You've ever seen the movie Cool Hand Luke? That's where the original, and they only stopped using it because they didn't want to pay the royalty.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, whoever tweaked it, it made you think, oh, there's news coming on. Let me pay attention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's the job. Yeah. Those jingles, you know, and they do their job very well.
Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy it all today. The pep rally, the game tonight. Enjoy it all. I'm really glad. Your email was great. I'll be there for all of it.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
With the mister. Thank you so much.
Calvin Mond, friends. All right. We have one last guest here. Ron Semerano, my friend. Kelly Estenez. Yeah. Hey, Kelly. Good to see you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Guys, you're welcome to walk around. You're welcome to stay here. Ralph, don't get in trouble. Tell him Mr. Murata sent you, the class president. I have a water for you, Ron. Yeah, there was one open and there's one there. You could take that one. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Ron's getting ready. He's a social media mogul, Welcome, my friend. Good to see you.
Hello, Andrew.
Throw those on. Lifelong coach, lifelong Port Jervis resident, Coach Ron Semerano. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you, Andrew.
Good to see you. Did you get on the sub list today? We getting you back as a substitute teacher today? Get you on the payroll for today?
I think I did my time. No, I'm enjoying retirement, so this is good.
Yeah, congratulations,
Yeah,
Ron. It's
very honored.
so great to see you. Ron and I have stayed in touch over the years here. Big fan of Coach Semerano. Ron, I loved your answer today. A kid asked you, what was a regret you had? And you stood up. You said, listen, I was born here. I lived my life here. I worked here. I don't have any regrets. I love Port Jervis. What a great answer. Tell me that.
Again, I made my decision years and years ago that I was going to stay here, and I had an opportunity to leave. Matter of fact, I had a couple opportunities to leave.
Yeah.
Right before I got the job here, I did substitute for a year, and after a year, I felt, I don't know if I want to substitute anymore. I want to get a full-time job, and there was no full-time jobs available, and so I ended up applying for a grad assistantship down at East Stroudsburg University, and I got a grad assistantship in baseball. And 3 weeks before I was supposed to report to East Stroudsburg, I get a call from Dr. DiCaprio, who was the high school principal at the time, and he said, "Ron, I need to see you right away." And I said, "Okay." He says, "Yeah, get up here right away." So of course I was home. I was in a t-shirt, pair of shorts, and flip-flops, and so I come running up to the high school and go into his office. He goes, "Look," he says, "the health teacher just left." He goes, "I need a health teacher like right away. Did you get your certification for it?" And that was something that he suggested that I do when I first started subbing. He says, "Make sure you get your certification in health education." I said, "Okay, good." So I did. I said, "Yeah, I did." So he says, "Health teacher left. I need a guy to teach health right away." And I said, "Well, I said, I got this grad assistantship in East Stroudsburg." I said, "I'm supposed to be there in 3 weeks." He goes, "Ron, you got to make a decision." So I said, "Well, let me think about it." He said, "Okay." So he said, "But meantime, go over and see Dr. Venezia." He was the superintendent at the time. So I went over
Principal and superintendent in one day.
That was my interview. So I went over there and I spoke with him for a few minutes, and he said, "If you want the job," he says, we're desperate right now. He says, "The school's going to open in a couple of weeks." And he said, "We need somebody." So I said, "All right." I said, "Let me think about it." So of course I go home and I talk to my parents about it. Of course, my grandmother lives there with us, and we're all talking. And I said, "Well, I think I got to call East Stroudsburg first and find out." So I called this Dr. Balducci, who was my advisor at the time there, and she said to me, she goes, "Ron, teaching jobs are hard to come by." She goes, if you think you should take the job, go ahead." She goes, "Don't worry about it," because she goes, "You're not sticking us." She goes, "We'll just go to the next person in line." So I called Dr. DiCaprio up. I said, "I'll take the job," and that was it.
There you are.
So I was at the right place at the right time, and I guess most of my career was like that.
Yeah. But you did what you had to do to get there. You had the certification. You went to the interview. And even just listening to that story, you did the right thing by going to East Stroudsburg first and saying, "Hey."
Yeah, like I said, I made my choice, and to be honest with you, I'm glad I did. Again, I was born and raised here. My family was here. I liked Port Jervis, even though like my son right now lives in Charleston, South Carolina, and everybody keeps asking me, "Are you guys going to move down there?" Well, as much I love my family dearly, all right, but I still like this area of the country,
Yeah.
all right. So that's why we're probably still here. But I would imagine maybe down the road we'll probably have to, out of necessity move. But right now I'm enjoying retirement. I work a couple days a week at the golf course. I play a couple days a week, and work around the yard and giving special time to my wife, who's probably for a number of years while I was coaching. I was in and out all over the place, and it was time to give some time back to her.
Your high school sweetheart,
And-
Doreen, she'll be here. Your family, Matt, and your daughter-in-law coming up, your grandchildren.
They should be,
We're
they
excited.
should be landing any minute now.
If they're on Ron's schedule to be organized, I don't know. Not everyone is as organized as you. Kelly Estenez saying hello, Ron. Ron, you kind of had two jobs. You were here, you did your day job teaching, and then every day you coaching. You coached every level, almost every team. You really were here every day from 6 to 7, 8 at night, doing those two jobs, two loves. Coaching and sports, such a passion. Tell me about all these years coaching all these kids, all the lessons you taught.
Well, again, I know Megan mentioned it, Calvin mentioned it, that you really have to like your job. You have to enjoy your job. And I did. I really I can't say every day was good. Okay. Cause especially with teaching and coaching, all right. There's highs and lows, peaks and valleys. I remember Alex Oswick telling me that years ago when I started coaching, when I got my first varsity basketball job. He said to me, he said, Ron, he says, there's peaks and there's valleys. He says, so you need to stay somewhere in the middle. He says, because if if those valleys are so deep and it's depressing you so much, he says, it's just going to run you down. And he goes, by the same token, he goes, those peaks are going to be up there and you're going to be sky high. He says, you've got to bring yourself back to a level where you can prepare for the next moment. And, like I said, I spent my career doing that. I mean, we win, we lose, you deal with it. But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the classroom. I loved lecturing in the classroom. Maybe they didn't want to hear me all the time, but I really did. I did like lecturing. And some days it was a real challenge. All right, because again, you're dealing with teenagers. Okay, and I was a teenager, and I probably was a little squirrely teenager at one time. But you're dealing with teenagers, and sometimes when you get up there lecturing, you can see on their faces like, uh-oh, I'm starting to lose them. All right, and you got to figure a way of getting them back. Okay, and then there are some days you get in there and you just hit it just right. All right, and you got their attention. You can tell you got their attention. That makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Okay, same thing with coaching. You know, there's days you go in there and the kids are just, I just don't. They look like they don't want to be there, and you got to try. It's a challenge. You got to try to bring them back. Okay, you got to try to make them understand. Okay, you won the last game, but that doesn't mean you're going to be able to just throw your sneakers on the court or your helmet on the field and win the next game. You got to work at it. Okay, and it takes practice. All right, and it takes a lot of time to do this, and it takes certain preparation. Right, and sometimes it's a grind, but apparently I must have liked that grind because I stayed in it for a long time.
A couple of years you did. Ron, you used the word preparation today with the kids. You talked about it. You were so prepared. Even today, you took notes on what you were going to say.
He's got 'em right here.
He's got the notes. I mean,
Right
look at the old school. Let me see.
No.
He's so prepared. I love it, Ron. Even I remember your lesson plan books. You would turn them in. Meticulous, the lesson. Here's the points. Your coaching notes. Your closet was so organized. You open it up. It was beautiful.
Mr. Ferris, who I just adored. Okay, he was the athletic director that hired me. He kept me busy every year. All right, he kept me really busy. Then when he became the principal, he gave me the best piece of advice that I carried on through the rest of my life. When I was coaching, when I was teaching, even when I became the athletic director, even when I was recreation superintendent. He said to me, he said, Ron, he says, he said, look, he says, the most important thing in your job, he goes, you must be organized. He said, if you stay organized, he says, you'll really cut back on mistakes. And he goes, and you got to be prepared. These two things go hand in hand. And I really, and again, this was really early in my career. This is like maybe the third or fourth year I was teaching. All right. And I really took that to heart. And I had a situation in basketball once. And we're playing up at Eldred. And we're playing a game. And matter of fact, Luann McCarthy was my assistant coach at the time. And I think it might have been my first year as a varsity coach. And I'll be honest with you, my first couple of years as a varsity coach, I mean, especially, I was wild, okay? And I remember we were playing in this tiny gym, and it was like a scene from Hoosiers. All right. And we're playing in this gym, and the referees were just, well, let's put it this way. I wasn't real happy with them.
Those Sullivan County referees? I know the Supreme Court justice up there.
But
We can start an indictment.
well, I wasn't real happy. Okay. I wasn't real happy. And so one thing led to another. And eventually I got a technical.
Oof.
And I got another technical. All right. And finally, the third technical, he said, just get out of here. He threw me out of the gym. So I turned to Luann and I said, Luann, I said, you're in charge. And she just looked at me and she goes, what am I supposed to do? I said, you're in charge. Right. Of course, at that time, again, that was my first year coaching varsity basketball. And I never wrote out a game plan. And from that day on, okay, I always wrote out practice plans. My practice plans were very meticulous.
You still have them.
I still have them. And they were all timed. Everything was timed.
Yeah.
Okay. And I did that for practice, but I didn't do it for the game. So finally, after that, what I did is I actually wrote out a game plan. Okay. And I gave a copy to each one of my assistants. I said, if I get booted out of here, I says, this is what you got to do. And I did that for the next 29 years.
Wow. But did you ever get booted again?
No, never again. Actually, as I got older, my rapport with the referees were very good.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, again, things that I miss, I miss the camaraderie with my colleagues. I loved working with them. I missed the coaches, the opposing coaches. I miss dealing with the referees. All right. And like I said, as you get older, you calm down a little bit. But again, as a young coach, I knew I was wired. That was just part of my makeup. And again, as I got older, they got to know me. All right. After a while, and again, you referee. All right. When they start seeing me get a little hot, they'll come out there, Ron, okay, I might have missed that, but you need to settle that. Okay, all right, no problem.
Great stories, Ron. I hope one day Ron is going to put these in a book. You got a million stories. Ron, our friend Deb Cassara is here. You look in the hallway. There's legendary teachers, Kevin Birmingham up there. Educators like Tom Hoppy are on that wall. What does it mean for you to be a Port Jervis teacher and be on that wall?
Well, first of all, with this class that we have here this year.
Oh, man. Today was great.
Their stories are just unbelievable, and their successes are just unbelievable. To be honest with you, I'm very humbled, okay, that I'm part of this group, okay? And it's just an honor. And that's pretty much the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
It is.
And we're honored to have you here. I love Coach Ron. I was new to this community, and Ron was one of the first people to open his home, literally opened his home. I used to go there in between meetings, and he would make me pizza, homemade pizza there, and show me how to do it. Always had the nice crisp dough there.
My father's recipe.
Yeah, little red wine there. It was great times, but so warm. You and your wife. Really, really great. Ron, the stories, I loved them. I love the one about your dad, where you didn't get up in the morning. You declined a subbing job. You had stayed out one of the local Port Jervis establishments.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share that story of what your dad said about staying up late but getting up early? I love it. I've added that to
It's kind of an embarrassing story, but for now, the whole community's going to know about it.
Well, you can skip the details. Just give the advice part.
Yeah, well, like I said, I was I was substituting. Right? Like I said, I was probably about 22, 23 years old. And we used to, there was a group of us that used to go out. And
It was social.
It was social.
Socializing.
Yeah, and we happened to go out on a Wednesday night. And it was a good time, and got in a little bit later than I liked to, and I got a call, and I was living at home at the time, like I said, and I got a call from Mr. Belson, who was the caller of the substitutes, and my father says, Mr. Belson's on the phone. I said, oh, okay. I said, but I don't really feel good today. My father said, fine. So he tells Mr. Bell, he's sick. So I didn't go in. So of course now I'm sitting on the porch at 5 o'clock, 4:30 in the afternoon. My father works in a factory. He was up working 8, 9 hours. And I'm sitting on the porch, dressed in my softball uniform because I had a softball game.
Get to the game, man.
Now,
Make the important thing.
I'm reading the Union Gazette. And, I'm feeling pretty good. My father just walks right by me and walks right in the house. And then he turns around. My father never yelled at me.
Yeah.
Never yelled. My mother did most of the yelling.
There you go.
All right. But my father never yelled. He just got his point across, and he come walking back out on the porch, and he looked at me, and he said, "Let me tell you something. If you're going to go out and hoop with the Owls at night, you better get up and fly with the Eagles in the morning." And I looked at him, and because he said to me, he says, "Because if this happens again," he says, "your bags are going to be packed. You're going to have to find someplace else to live." And I looked at him, and I said, he means this. And I don't think I ever missed a day.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I got a certificate from Mr. Ferris one year for having 100% attendance.
The Honda Accord was parked in a very similar spot to our friend Doug Casara. If you're gonna hoop with the Owls at night,
You better fly with the Eagles in the morning.
I love it. That is great advice. And it goes in line with the stories we heard from our fellow Hall of Famers today about the experiences that we have. Maybe good, not so good.
Yeah, well,
And you learn.
You learn from their failures. I still read books about coaches and players. That's my favorite reading material. And Vince Lombardi was my coaching idol growing up. And he said something, somebody asked him about success and being great. And one of the things he said was, he says, success isn't how much you fall, it's how many times you get back up.
Yeah.
All right. And again, I know I've made some mistakes in my life when it comes to certain things. And, you got to make your corrections and you got to get back up.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of lived by that the rest of my life. Yeah.
Long career here, spent his life in Port Jervis schools, coaching, serving. Ron, this was great. To all of our Hall of Famers, this was really so much fun. I hope you enjoyed it. A number of people watching Ron. Kelly Decker says hello. He said he had fun with Ronzo, famously known as Ronzo.
I obtained that name playing softball. Because we used to, playing softball, there was a bunch of us, and we used to refer to each other as Zoe. Okay. And again, I was probably 25 years old at the time. And one of my students was standing behind the dugout, and they heard all this. And so I went up to bat, and somebody says, "Come on, Ronzo," one of my teammates. And the next day I walked into school, okay, and I think half of the population was calling me Ronzo. And that stuck. That stuck throughout my entire career.
Yeah.
And you know something? I never thought of it as a sign of disrespect when a student said that to me.
Yeah.
I never did, because I think they said it affectionately. And matter of fact, Chris Stellato sees me all the time, and he says, "Hey, Ronzo, how you doing?"
I love it.
And I see my students, so former players and former students will come up and say the same thing to me, and they'll still call me. And something like I said, I don't see it as any form of disrespect. I think they say it with affection, and I appreciate that.
Agreed. It is a term of affection here. Ron started the Coaching Wall of Fame. You're on there as well. What a great career, Ron. We're so happy for you. Enjoy it all here over the next couple of days. So proud to see your picture on there. Here's a little pin for you, your lapel pin.
Nice.
That's for you.
My jacket.
There you go. You'll have that sport coat looking on. There's your sticker. Happy that your family's coming back here. They'll be here again for the ceremonies, and looking forward to today and Sunday with you.
Okay. And thank you, Andrew.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything you do for the school. I appreciate it.
They're right back at you, Coach Ron. Always a pleasure. So one more shout out. All of our Hall of Famers. This was great, and got to spend some time with them, with the students, as well as here is on the podcast. So if you are watching this on record, please leave them a comment. If Ron was one of your teachers, please leave them a comment. If maybe you were someone who dealt with Judge Galligan, hopefully it was good. Don't leave her. Maybe not. No, just kidding. So we're gonna go celebrate some more with our Hall of Famers, and we have a luncheon and the pep rally. So we're excited. Everybody, let's end with a famous Go Port. Can I get a call on the count of three? 1, 2, 3. Go Port, go Port. All right, we're going to sign off on the podcast. The reception is Sunday. All those tickets have been sold, but hey, if it's Friday, if you can get to us, I'm sure we can try to squeeze you in somehow for the Hall of Fame. But they'll be at the game tonight also. The Hall of Fame game is here on Chase Field. It's homecoming also. So come out and see all of our improvements here. So proud of the facilities and all the things happening in Port Jervis School. So we are going to sign off. We're going to get him to lunch here. Ralph might be wandering around without a hall pass now, so he's going to get himself in trouble. So I got to go see where he's at there. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and happy to represent the Hall of Famers today. Have a great weekend. And like Ron just said, go Port.